Jean-Marie Vianney was born on the 8th of May, 1786. He was of a devout family, but it was a difficult time in France. He himself had to help to support the family by working on the farm, essentially as a shepherd, which explains how his brain in his youth was not developed. He is possibly unjustly thought of being a bit slow, but it's not the case. It's just that his brain wasn't given the chance, and he had a lot of catching up to do. The signs of vocation were there from earliest times, but how was he going to get there? Providence intervened. There was a good priest who took him under his wing and tutored him. It was the holy Abbé Ballet at Écully. He helped him especially with Latin, which was always causing problems. And then a mistake took place in the register. Even though he was registered as an ecclesiastical student, he was called up to serve in the militia. And very bravely, he eventually deserted, and that would, of course, have huge consequences. He hid and was very nearly found. He nearly stifled under a haystack. Eventually, Napoleon gave an armistice in 1810 to those who had deserted, and he was able to return home and to enter the major seminary at Belley. Now, there was a hesitation on the part of the superiors because of his difficulty with studies, but then this good priest intervened. At the intercession of this same Abbé Ballet, he was admitted because he insisted on his goodness and piety, that would be sufficient to offset any other handicaps. He was sent to an abandoned parish in the middle of nowhere, Ars, and bit by bit, by penitence and prayer, and personal and painstaking individual care of his parishioners, he built it up and made it a model parish. And his gifts came through, which of course attracted huge numbers eventually. He was able to read consciences, to see things, to even foretell things, discern things clearly, and give very good advice. And we can understand why, like Padre Pio, closer to us in time, he was hugely sought out. On this day, in 1859, he died at Ars and was canonized in 1925 by Pope Pius XI, the same time as Thérèse of Lisieux, actually, that same year, by the same Pope. And he made him patron of parish priests in 1929, as he made Thérèse of Lisieux patron of the missions, along with Francis Xavier, already named. I was deeply moved when in Ars, in 1986, I came across all the gifts of Ars still there. There was a lot going on in the renewal in France at the time, and there was a possibility of our making a foundation in Wales. We were a group of Welsh and English-speaking people there in France at the same time, and there was a serious possibility. They were opening monasteries at the rate of 2 a year. But what was interesting was the way in which all the gifts of the Spirit were harnessed and used in a classical setting. I remember feeling with others there that the celebrations that we had at Ars were the most beautiful we'd ever experienced anywhere on earth. The Holy Mass was very uplifting. It was quite angelic. And so it is that beauty also enters into it in attracting young people. And that, of course, is something that is familiar in Wales, for in the various waves of renewal, of awakening that we had over the centuries, beauty always came to the fore. And so it is that I remember one evening at Ars, after experiencing a huge wave of healing and miracles, I was taken aback and saw that this was the same Spirit as was at work in Pentecost, earlier in time at the beginning of the Church, unchanged, for time doesn't exist for the Holy Spirit. And we were there, touching the same force. It was miracle after miracle, and all the gifts were being used in complete synchronization. One knew therefore what was going on. The word of knowledge would accompany the miracle of healing here and there, and people also were being told things. Amazing truths were coming out, and thousands upon thousands were there. It was our God. And I thought, the arm of the Lord is not shortened. The Cure Vase would have been at home. And so I wrote this that evening in this week. It was actually a fortnight, but I was there for a week. I was with the community there for a month in Normandy with other Welshmen. Ars, here it begins. Henceforth, but one sole way can ever lie before my startled eyes. What hath this night been known is known for aye, and yesterday no more its lost plaint cries. A trembling of two worlds hath touched this hour, and in this eve a passing of an age, long buried long ago, its ancient power hath left to linger on this oft read page. For though I came not this strange way before, and heard not words like these, nor saw such things, I stare where 'tis not rare that on this shore of puzzlement some pause, where it still sings a song of myriad aeons long unknown, that have returned, and history overthrown. And I thought, if this were known, if this were seen in Wales, much would